There are many aspects to the Ukraine-Russia crisis. Strategic is only one of them. There is economic, and that's why we have the European House now absolutely divided. To discuss how things are going to go forward, is there going to be escalation or not, I'm being joined by Sergei Strokhan, a senior journalist from Moscow, Russia. Alexander Krevet is a journalist and international affairs expert from Warsaw, from Ukraine, Kyiv, and we have Beata Winter Gorka, who is joining us from Warsaw, Poland. Many thanks for joining us here on India Today. Alexander, you are in Kyiv, in Ukraine. We do know that there have been a lot of interactions, a lot of important high-profile ministerial visits into Kyiv. But when it comes to the ground situation, as an independent state, Ukraine has a right to decide. But in terms of being a part of a region, do you see what's the kind of regional instability that you see in the near future should there be an escalation into conflict?
Yeah, hi, thank you for inviting me. So far we see only one point of instability in the region, and this point of instability is Russia. As you mentioned, like a lot of diplomatic meetings were held in Kyiv, in Moscow, in Warsaw, in Washington, in Berlin, in Brussels, and just recently Emmanuel Macron, president of France, came from Moscow, where he had a marathon meeting with President Putin. Around 6 hours it held. So he came to Kiev and stated that everything is, he has seen the progress. And just yesterday, the 2 days after the President Macron came to Kiev, Russian military announces their artillery drills in the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov. So they closed entirely, almost the Sea of Azov. It's a small sea next to Crimea, and huge areas of the Black Sea. But we see, and our sources in the intelligence of Ukraine and the Western intelligence community were saying that almost a year ago, he was planned by Kremlin to block the Ukrainian seaports. And we see it right now, so they will start those drills February 13, and it will hold until February 19, but it's, so far we know the information.
Well, Beata, before I come to you, Sergei, would you like to respond? Is this
yes, of course. Yes,
yes.
Well,
the question is Russia trying to secure its interest in the region, or is it, like many are writing and saying, an expansionist Russia not really paying heed to an independent Ukrainian state?
Point number one, the Ukrainian crisis. This is not a question of Russia. This is a question of Kyiv not able to find common ground with its rebellious regions. And there's a blueprint for the solution is Minsk Agreement, which was supported by France and Germany and Russia, and which Kyiv is trying to put aside, to shelve at least. So this is one thing. Can you imagine, you see, is it fair to say, blame some neighboring countries of India, say if eventually India central government won't be able to find common terms with Kashmir? So this is the internal Ukrainian issue, which a Ukrainian side is trying to ignore and not to say this. This point number one. The second point is that so-called Minsk agreements, which were signed 5 years ago, I reckon now the formula for civilized coexistence between Donetsk and the Republic region and central Ukrainian government. However, Ukrainian side not moved in 1 millimeter to implement Minsk agreements into life. Point number three, whatever Russia muscle flexing is taking place at Russia's territory. This is Russia's legitimate right. Can you imagine at least one country which would be deprived of the right to exercise military exercises on its own territory? Not a single shot, let me emphasize it, not a single shot was from Russia's territory, on Ukrainian territory. Not a single boot on the ground was staged during this days. So is it fair to talk about Russia meddling into Ukrainian affairs. This is totally Ukrainian issue, but Ukrainian side is trying to shift the responsibility into Russia for, and this is the reason why it's doesn't want to find a formula and solution for that.
Beata, I'd like to draw our focus back to the crisis that Ukraine faces and Russia and at the Russia-Ukraine border, and focus on one thing when it comes to the West. That's the economic aspect, which has not been addressed yet. Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline is an important one for Germany, for many other countries, including Austria, who are working in ensuring that gas goes into Europe. Could that be one of the most important factors when these conversations are taking place and the European nations are trying to forge peace between Ukraine and Russia?
Yes, it is an important factor and also important leverage in these negotiations. I believe that maybe what Russia really wants is not a war, and I hope so. But maybe he's focused just on economic purposes, and Nord Stream 2 is an important tool for Russia in economic terms. But of course, we can discuss if this pipeline is economically justified. Yes, because we have many pipelines and we have many ways how to transfer gas from Russia. And not omitting Ukraine, yes, because the main focus here is that is omitting Ukraine, and we see it as harmful, yes, for Ukrainian economic interest. But the West states it's very clear that if Russia will be moving militarily, the Nord Stream 2 will be closed. Yes, that's what was said very openly, but by U.S.
Biden, but not so openly by Scholz.
Yes, but I believe that Germany, which are having their own talks, yes, within a Normandy format, I believe that Germany will also. They already included Ukraine in. Talks, yes, in process of admitting this Nord Stream 2 pipeline. So I think that was a move which was quite friendly, yes, to Ukraine. And I believe that at the end of the day, the Nord Stream 2 and possible sanctions for Nord Stream 2 may be an important leverage in solving this issue. Because I believe that Russia doesn't want war, but wants to secure their economic interests. That's what I hope.
Right. It is high stakes negotiations that are underway at various levels. There is no alternative to peace. Only that every country, every stakeholder in the region and elsewhere should remember the human cost to conflict, to war. On that note, Sergey, Beata, Alexander, many thanks for joining us here on India Today.